and his wife, we can't fight them. They were in an attack today. And the policeman told me, Madam, he said, what is the location? As soon as I gave him the location, he said, Madam, we don't go there. We do not go there. Madam, with all due respect, we don't go there. I started to cry.
Madam, we don't go there. That is security of the country. There is a place where we cannot go. Right, go ahead.
Okay. On Sunday, we were in church. Please don't mind my voice. It disappeared on Sunday. We were in church and Daddy declared that none of our family members will have their life cut short before their time. And he also made so many declarations, including that someone will have a testimony within 24 hours. And I looked around, I was like, oh, I wonder who and who will have testimonies in 24 hours. That day, there was a fruitfulness program. And my brother's wife, and when I say brother, I don't mean a brother in the village or a cousin brother. I mean my brother. His wife.
Same parents, mother and father.
Yes, 1 year apart. So I called her. I said, this program is coming up. Please, you people have to tune in. They were somewhere in the east at that time. After church, I sent her the link, and I sent her the link. She sent me a message to remind me, and I sent her the link. And I told her, please, put your phone on silent or whatever you have to do. Both of you, focus on this program. Shortly after that, I got a missed call from her. And I tried to call her back immediately. She didn't pick up. I thought that it was because she was watching the message. So I watched the message to the end of the message, called her back again after the message, and still no one picked up. Well, sometime later, a friend of ours, my brother's, a family friend and a cousin as well, called me and said that they've been waiting for CJ. They've been waiting for my brother. They've been waiting for my brother. And she said that the plane that she was supposed to take to Lagos has left the airport and landed in Lagos, and nobody has heard from them.
Plane that she was meant to take from the east to Lagos had landed in Lagos, and nobody has heard from them. The last thing she heard from them was when she gave them the link to the program of last Sunday, and they started watching. That's the last time she heard. And then the next thing is, plane has landed, we haven't seen them.
So he said he has called the driver's phone and it's not going. So I hung up immediately and I called his MOPO, police officer, the one I have his number. And I said to him, he answered, Auntie, I did bush. We were attacked. I said, I don't understand. He said, Auntie, I did bush. We were attacked. I said, where is my brother? Where is his wife? I don't know, Auntie. I don't know. I did bush. So I hung up immediately. And I called Daddy. In fact, my fingers, but I didn't call him, sorry. I sent him a message and I just said, emergency. And Daddy called. I couldn't put my words together. The line cut off. He called back. And I said, it looks like my brother has been attacked and we cannot find him. No one has heard from him. And his mopo is in the bush running. And Daddy started to pray. And he said he will be found that day. When I hung up, I sent a message to Mommy. Immediately, she sent me a long prayer back with words of declarations. Then I hung up, and then I burst into tears. I have never had a feeling like that. What could have happened to my brother? I called my mom immediately and said, "Mommy, come to my house." My mom lives close to me. I couldn't tell her anything. And then I went to my room and I started to scream, "Jesus," on just for as long as I could remember. As soon as my mom got to the house, I said, "This is what has happened to my brother." I said, "Let's go to church. I don't know what else to do." At this point, I cannot think of anything else but to come to Dunamis. So we immediately, just like a mad person, I don't even know how they let me in the first place, got to Dunamis, and we just came to the altar and just lay down for like 2 minutes. I and my mom screaming. Of course, eventually we left immediately and we went back to my mom's house. I had called my sister also to meet us in Dunamis church. So we gathered in my mom's house, crying, praying, not having an idea what could have happened. I started to call who I thought was who in Nigeria. I called DSS, I called SSS, I called NIA, I called generals in the army. I said, I tried to explain everything. Eventually, somebody gave me the police, the head of the police, in the area where they were captured. And I called him. And I said, my brother and his wife, we can't fight them. They were in an attack today. And the policeman told me, "Madam," he said, "what is the location?" As soon as I gave him the location, he said, "Madam, we don't go there. We do not go there. Madam, with all due respect, we don't go there." I started to cry.
Madam, we don't go there. That is security of the country. There is a place where we cannot go. So pathetic. We know they go there.
So when I hung up with him, I realized that this is not, because we had been calling people to track their phones, see their numbers. Let's see how we can get to them. So I realized it's not a situation of getting to them. They know where they are. So these people are not your regular kidnappers. So immediately I got the phone. I also sent Daddy a text, with updating him on what was going on. I had to, when his driver was in the bush and was shot. So when the driver got out, he found a way to send a message to us. And then I spoke to the driver, and the driver narrated that he saw my brother run, but he never saw the wife run. Incidentally, her door had child lock, so she did not run like everybody else ran. So I started to think maybe they are in the bush, mobilize people, let them go to the bush and find these people. Eventually, I got an eyewitness who, at that point, I asked who was still in that area if he had seen anybody. He said no, that there was nobody left in the bush. I now started to ask, what about bodies? Did you see any bodies there? And he now started to get aggressive because everybody's afraid of the people of that area. So when I hung up, I started to call all the security forces that I had called, and I told them to back down. Nobody should attack, nobody should go near there, nobody should, because at this point I knew that only God can save my brother and his wife. Called everybody, even the army general. Please, if you have called anybody to go to that place, please tell them to stand down. Thank you so much for coming, responding to us as quickly, but please stand down. I sent him, Daddy now sent another message and said, how far? I updated him. He said, you will soon hear from them.
Ola, you will soon hear from them. The prophetic is superior to the diabolic. Is superior to the diabolic. Is superior. Is superior. When the system and the law of the land fails, What we need is solid prophetic mantle. Because if you wait for this system, you just waste for nothing. Yes. Yes.
So she is the wife in
Yes.
the car.
Yes.
She'll tell us an eyewitness experience.
Savior, Savior, the one you saved has come to worship you. The ones you saved has come to worship you. On Sunday, a week ago, we had gone to the east for a burial, and we're returning back to Lagos on Sunday. So my husband was going to drop me at the airport. We were with two cars. One was the Prado, where my husband and I were inside with the driver, and in front was Hilux escort car with 3 mopos and a driver.
You understand? If people with 3 mopos and a driver will not escape, then what happens to ordinary people? Did you hear what I'm saying? 3 mopos fully loaded with AK-47. Mobile policemen. Already. If people with 3 mopos at the back with an escort in front of them could not escape a thing like this, that is to show you that the ordinary person, only God. Go ahead.
So, I remember that Balum had told me about a service that she wanted me to watch. She told me it's after service, so it starts by 11. I now try to make an excuse that I won't be at home, I'm going to be on the road, but I'll try to tune into the Dunamis service by 11. So we left the house around, let's say 10, because my flight was for 1 o'clock. On the way, I realized it was past 11. I now called her and said, we have service on the road. What about the service? Send me the link so I could tune in live. So I tuned in live. I've normally, so I told my husband, please, do you mind? Balum said she wants us to listen to something. Normally I would use my headphones, or he'll tell me listen to it later. But he said go ahead. So I connected the car Bluetooth so that everybody in the car could listen to the service. So we're listening to the service. Like 20 minutes into the live service, all I heard was gunshots. I didn't even know what happened.
20 minutes, service had been on, car saturated with the anointing and the power of God for 20 minutes. Next thing is pa, 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 everywhere.
He was making declarations. I was actually, everybody that saw it said, no, nothing could have happened to her, because as you were saying stuff, I would be typing it and putting it up on my status. The last thing I remember typing was, if God has it and I need it, that means I have it. Something like that, because that was what I was typing. You said it, and you said everybody should say it. That was the last thing I remember that I had typed. And I looked up, and my husband ran out of the car. I didn't understand what was going on. Then the driver left next. Then I looked up, and I saw about 6 or 7 men, all dressed in black, shooting.
All dressed in black, shooting.
Shooting at our car. And I tried to come out from the back seat since everybody was running, and I couldn't come out. The Mopo people in front were also shooting back at them, but running as well. So everybody had run, and I was stuck in the car. I didn't know what to do. I just was screaming. I just bent down because it was like they were blasting the car. I thought it was fireworks. It looked like fireworks. After the first set, because there were about 30 men at the junction, it was like
30. It's like a battlefield.
After the first set of people had run and they were chasing the Mopo people and chasing my husband, I managed to come to the front of the car and jump out. Then I started running. I was still hearing gunshots. I don't know if they were behind me. I don't know if they were in front of me. All I know is that I was running. After a while, I entered into the bush, and I realized I still had my phone. After like minutes of running, I realized, oh my God, my phone is still in my hand. I called Balum first because she was the last person I spoke to that sent me the service. I called her to stop. I wanted her to tell her what's going on, to pray or something, but she didn't pick up because she thought I was listening to the service still. I ran into the bush. I was there for about 10 minutes
I thought I was in a good hiding place. After about 10 minutes, a man with a gun just was pointing at me, telling me to come out. I begged him to please just act like he didn't see me and forget me. He said I should come out or else he would shoot me there. So I came out of my hiding place and they were asking me, what vehicle are you in? I said, I'm the one with the Prado. So he said, so you're the ones with the escort? I said, stupidly, I said yes. And then they shot in the air and said, we found her, we found her. And then they took me back onto the road, sat me on the floor, and then after a while, they took me into their barracks. After they asked me, where's my husband? I said, my husband is not with me. How many more poor people? I said 3. How many drivers? They're just asking me different questions. Then they took me into the barracks, the first stage of the place. When I got there, I saw people.
There is a barrack. It's an organized setting.
When I got there, I saw people being tortured. There were about 4 guys there already. Some were being shot at, some were being, I just kept screaming Jesus. And they would tell me I should stop mentioning that name, that Jesus has left us long time ago. And I should forget it. And the more they torture people, the more I was crying uncontrollably and shaking. And they now told them to send me into the cell. They have a cell. Because I had peed on myself. I was making them uncomfortable and my crying was becoming too much. So they sent me into the cell. At this point, I didn't know what was going on. I was there for hours in the cell and I didn't.
Apparently, at that time, when my brother ran away, he was safe. He had reached where he was even going to and he hid. But he heard his wife crying and realized that she had been captured. So he came out and went back and handed over himself. So immediately they got him. They started using machetes all over him, and that's how they carried him to their location. Okay, so the end of it was that all the people they gathered there, in fact, these people were not asking for ransom for anybody. They just started killing. They had killed their 2 mopos. They started killing people randomly in that place. Shooting. Everybody dead. There was one they set fire on. They poured gin on his bed and they set him on fire. And then it got to my brother's turn to be killed. And the man tried to shoot him severally and couldn't.
Remember that they were under the word and the influence of the word for 20 minutes before this incident.
He tried again to shoot him, and he himself said he was overwhelmed with goose pimples. And he said that the grace on this boy, he has never seen it before. It's too much. That they have to get to the shrine and get their native doctor. So the native doctor came with all sorts of incantations. They put my brother in a coffin, covered it, did all sorts and manner of things. Only went to bring him out, and the native doctor confirmed that the grace on this boy is overwhelming and he cannot be touched.
He cannot be killed.
Immediately, the native doctor told them that he was already bleeding out. They got even scared that they had even, crossed a line that they shouldn't have crossed. They started giving him medication, treating his wounds inside that place. Gave him IV, gave him injection, just so they make sure that the little damage they had done does not, get them into trouble, because they had been warned that they cannot touch grace. They were one to take them out. They called her to identify him. He was even still in a coffin, so she went crazy when she saw that. The abductors eventually, in fact, while my brother was sitting, they told him, shift, papa. They killed the person right beside him. In fact, the family of that person is still looking for him. The family is still thinking that boy is missing, but he was shot right there. A lot of people like that. He was the only one Both of them were the only one that walked out alive from that dead. Yeah,
I said they killed the Almopos, but I don't know why God loves us so much. It's just my husband and I walked out of there, and they dropped us on the road and told us that we should go.
We're not done. They took people to escort them, dropped them by a hotel, and gave them transport money to find their way. At that time, they had reached out, returned their phones to them. They had reached out to us, and immediately we sent an ambulance to get them. I also sent a text to Daddy because he said authoritatively that we would hear from them shortly. Shortly, he followed up, and at 11 o'clock in the night, probably like 6 hours after this whole ordeal, we heard from both of them. And then they were taken to the hospital in our village.
It is an exciting testimony.
It
is also very depressing for our nation. Stand up for your feet. That we live in a nation where there are camps of death, identifiable by the law. So we don't go there, which means it exists.
But
the end of it has come.
Everybody
He said the grace of this child we can't touch. We have never seen such a grace. These are not killable.
just like that.
Hey,
Lift up your hands and say,
I've escaped to. I just came down from the community. I had escaped. No,
of every killer cell in Nigeria. We just head on. We ask for the complete destruction and elimination of every killer cell in Nigeria. We decree their end is here. Now! Open your mouth and pray. We decree the declaration.
Of the Holy Ghost. Help, 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 help. From above, help is coming. Receive the help of God. Let the keseliferite kizekina la barada galagayada. Help from above. Help from above. Shiga babagada galagayagada. Receive help. Lagayagadaga, 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 lagayagadagas. Help! Let the city liberate the Messiah. Let the